YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here. I'm having a little bit of trouble finding a match tonight that is not just absolute lore of death cheese, whether it's vampires or greenskins or whatever it is, and I'm not really enjoying the cheese in the game. I like all the other factors in the game, but the cheese is getting pretty hard to deal with, and I'm not liking it. I do want to talk through a couple other things with you all, and I'm going to try and show you little tricks that I just learned. I should have known it a long time ago, but I just learned it. So let's say that you are going to be facing some cheese from the lore of death, like the vampires. Just want to show you like one possibility that you can use to give them a hard time. It's certainly not going to make you win every battle, but this is a pretty typical scenario where you'll find yourself up against a von Karstein on a Hellsteed or a zombie dragon. And what's the best counter to that? With Fate of Bjuna around and Life Leech being the nuisance that they are, there are other nuisance ways to counter it. The Empire is probably one of the best at this with their Light Wizards. Some of you may have seen this before. I was pretty sure I switched the map, but whatever, it didn't switch. Now I started off with a bunch of Winds of Magic, so this will be handy. What I want to show you all is how to overcast a spell, and you get these stuff like this that's good against a single combatant. If you click the spell once and then click it again, this little increased armor piercing damage, miscast chance plus 50%. I'm going to go ahead and cast it on von Karstein and just kind of show you what the Light Wizard can do. So pretty solid hit there on von Karstein, dropped him significantly from well beyond his range, and Shem's Burning Cheese recharges in just over 10 seconds. So this is not going to take me long to go ahead and light up another one for von Karstein. So if he's trying to life leech you, basically you can make him pay, and you can chase him off with a Griffin at the same time. But yeah, I mean, just you see what that spell did to him right there. So 2 hits and von Karstein is pretty much on his knees. The Pegasus is really quite fast. It's going to have a hard time probably getting away from a Hellsteed, but for the most part, I mean, the Pegasus is very, very strong. You can see that von Karstein is crumbling from the 2 hits. So there you go, 2-shot von Karstein. So yes, more ways to Lord Snipe. But this, I'm not showing you all this to teach you how to be a jerk in online matches. I'm teaching you, try and like give you some ideas on how to counter the lore of death cheese that you run into. Now, there's a few problems with this, and a couple of them are pretty straightforward as to why it's a problem. Warriors of Chaos are going to struggle against von Karstein cheese, not only because I find them to be mostly an inferior faction to the vampires, but you have your own lore of death sorcerer you can bring as the Chaos, but you cannot mount it in the air, and that's a big deal. Not being able to put this guy up in the air is going to make it a lot harder for him to strike back at those types of units. You run into a couple of challenges there. So see, there's another lore of death there, lore of metal. I'm trying to remember, you have a lore of fire as well. Now the lore of fire, oh, that's the guy I had picked, does have this spell here, which is a fireball. Let's pick the lore of fire. If I actually pick the lore of fire right here, let's see, fireball. So this spell right here can be used to pretty strong effect versus a single target. It says it's good against us. Well, this one says strong versus multiple combatants, but look at that 300 meter range on that fireball. So you can do. Is this strong versus multiple combatants? Yeah. Anyway, this fireball, you can do some pretty good damage to people with. That's not really meant against a single combatant. So yes, this is another reason why Chaos is going to struggle in this sense. They don't really have a good magic missile counter, and it's hard to get one of their guys mounted. I don't even know, do any of their lords, are they able to ride the Manticore? Looks like it. I think this guy's flying Manticore, but then you get Archaon the Everchosen, who is a lore of fire, and I don't think lore of fire is going to stack up good against the lore of the dead. And why is lore of death so good? And what do I think about it? So I mean, lore of death is very good for a couple of reasons. Let's see. I think this is the lore of death. All right, screw this. Let's just go into the lore of death in here. It's going to make it easier. So, lore of vampires sucks. It's this one right here, the lore of the death. Lore of death. It's 2 spells in here that make this really, really good, and it's these 2 right here. So Spirit Leech is going to hurt an enemy lord extremely bad, and it can recharge about every 10 to 12 seconds, and it takes only 7 winds of magic, so you can use it multiple times within the first 30 seconds of a battle. And on a flying unit like a Hellsteed, you can get around quickly and make very good use of it. So, Fate of Bjuna, I actually hate this one even more than Spirit Leech, if that's to be believed. I think there's some ways that you can help work against Spirit Leech. Fate of Bjuna is an instant, one-hit, click and point, ruin a unit spell. This spell right here will completely kill, or essentially completely kill, even a Demigryph Knight, a Grail Knights, completely ruined. You know, any unit that has multiple people in it, like one of those. So it basically will negate instantly an elite unit on the battlefield. Instantly. They will die. And if they're not dead, they're only going to have a couple hundred hit points left, and they will be dead very quickly. So this one right here, the reason why I don't like this, because this is a one-click, take money away from your opponent's spell that doesn't require any thought or strategy. You just pick the most expensive unit, and you click it, and it's gone. This one does use 13 winds of magic, which is quite a lot. But I've still seen this spell used against me up to 3 times in one battle. In that particular battle, I had Bretonia, and I was trying to use my Knights of the Grail Knights because I knew that was going to be one of the few advantages I had over the Greenskins, because the Grail Knights are very good. They're also very expensive. The flying Azag killed both my Grail Knights with Fate of Bjuna, and then ruined a Knights of the Realm with it too. We took out 3 cavalry units without even ever having to land, which totaled up to about 3,900 gold for my army that he was able to ruin with just that spell, and still managed to get a Spirit Leech off on King Leon. Or Luon, whatever it is. So the Lore of Death is absolutely broken because of these 2 spells. I don't really know what I think the best way to fix it is. You can't just nerf the Lore of Death into the ground to where it's useless, because the vampires depend on it. But at the same time, it is OP, like severely OP. And to be quite frank, with the Light Wizard having Shem's Burning Gaze and being able to overcharge that and shoot down an enemy lord for only 5 magic cost. Now, yes, when you overcast it, it is more. It's only 9. But still, at 5 magic cost, you can sometimes 2-shot, and I've even seen it be almost a 1-shot on an enemy lord, because the effects of the damage is slightly different from shot to shot. So there's a few of these spells in here that definitely need some tweaking. I do like what magic adds to the game overall, and if you think about that, there's some pretty clear examples. Like this Net of Emmentalk, this is a cool spell. It can be used to disrupt an enemy charge, lending to an interesting strategy where you either use missiles or a counter charge or maybe another spell to do a lot of damage to the units that you blobbed up with the net. So very much like this. There's other spells like this one that makes your men unbreakable for a short period of time. This is pretty normal. I like this. It's a good idea. Vortexes. Vortexes are cool. They disrupt enemy formations and can help you out, again, disrupting an enemy charge so that you can use an interesting strategy. Stuff like this, buffs to your units. Again, I like this kind of stuff in the Magic, and it's not all that dissimilar to having general abilities in past Total War, so it's not that new. But a lot of the cheese stuff, honestly, just needs to go. It needs to go because, honestly, people are not going to use it in online battles. That's just not going to happen. Anytime there's a game that has something that can be abused, there will be people to abuse it, period. And then there will be those who are forced to abuse it in order to be able to play the game competitively. So it needs to go. If some of those things go and you get a couple other little tweaks, I see this game having some actually pretty fun multiplayer because the factions are so asymmetric from each other. I really like that. I really do. And I think it can lend to some fun gameplay and definitely some fun team battles if we see some of those things get tweaked. I am quite certain they probably will tweak some of these things. Though, again, I'm not entirely sure how I'd want it changed. I'm still thinking about it, so I'm not going to make any suggestions here. Tell me what you think in the comments. Should it be changed? If it should be changed, what's the best way to do it? Because I think in the past that we've had issues where when CA does finally nerf something, they nerf it into the ground rather than kind of balancing it in, which is really what I would rather see rather than just destroy something in total. So again, leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now, and I will see you all back next time.